and welcome to Being Black and Craft, where we don't apologize for recognizing our influence on craft beer. This is I'm Angie, the Undeniable Vixen, your moderator for tonight, and we have a wonderful guest as usual. But I do have some church announcements. Um, Wanted to make sure that we keep some things in your mind. Of course, we got Barrel and Flow that's going to be coming up. Early bird tickets are going to end on April 1st. So make sure that you get that. Then, if we have one more, really literally weeks until CBC and the National Black Brewers Association is going to have a tap takeover at Beer Zombies on the 23rd. So you make sure that you go to their Instagram because you do need to RSVP so they'll know how many people are coming. And of course, I'll be speaking at CBC as well during the Thrive track. And I would love to see y'all there. And also, this is really coming up. The early bird tickets for Crafted for Action is going to end on March 31st. So Jen and all the folks with Crafted for Action, they have their regular tickets as well as their VIP tickets. And again, this is a great conference that's virtual and in person. So you might want to check that out and don't miss out on saving that little bit of cash. We don't have a whole lot of cash. So had this that came into my peripheral, scrolling Instagram, loving Jesus like I do, and I saw this Guinness, and I was like, "What is this?" So from CNN, Femi, a Nigerian from the diaspora for more than 30 years, and Guinness beer connoisseur assures me that there is a stark difference between Irish Guinness and Nigerian Guinness. I did not know that. Chalk and cheese won't suffice in defending the two distances between the two. So there is such a thing as Nigerian Guinness. So she said that it has weight in your mouth and it's really incredibly smooth, and it isn't bitter like the Irish Guinness. So for its lovelier and frothier head, said that their sugar content is higher. So she told CNN that for health reasons, a drinker should reduce their intake of pounded yam and swallow the extra carbs in the Guinness. So that was interesting. I thought that was really, I had never heard of Nigerian Guinness. So I thought that was really cool. And just to let y'all know, I did go to Denton County Brewing Company, DCBC. I was trying to forget. And we did our volume 2 of Black is Beautiful. It was great. It was on a Tuesday, so I didn't have a lot of people with me, although my counterpart said, "You didn't tell me," but it was a Tuesday, so I didn't think people were going to make it there. But we brewed the beer. It's going to be available on their anniversary, which is 420. I'm going to be out of town, actually, and at CBC, but we plan on having a informal release party afterwards in May. So big shout out to Seth and Andrew for allowing me to come out there, as well as NB2A for Black is Beautiful Volume 2, along with Marcus Baskerville of Weathered Souls. So we're doing a little bit of a different take on it. So I'm hoping that you'll see those Texas vibes in that. Then one other thing that just like blew my mind, I was scrolling Facebook again, and I saw this post from Sean of Black Viking. So the news is the world's most drinkable beer has made history by becoming available in the Smithsonian National African American Museum. So you can order at Sweet Home Cafe. Not only can you order some delicious Southern cooking, you can also purchase a Zinga beer there. So how cool is that? He's truly making moves. And I thought that was really really incredible. And I can't wait to go to the museum, of course. But then I actually know somebody that's in part of this phenomenal museum. Then lastly, I during the time that I went to Austin for the St. Andrews Hilltop event, and where we had a panel of Black brewers. I was also mentioned in Texas Monthly, and so there's my little quote that I had, and I thought that was kind of cool too. So those are all my church announcements, I do believe. So let me go ahead and invite my guests up. Welcome, V. How are you?
Hey, how's everybody doing? I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for
Awesome.
having me.
Yeah, so you are a person of so many talents. So I'm hoping that I all get a good snapshot of everything that you've accomplished. But first, I wanted to find out how did you start in your artistic journey? At what age did you, and what medium did you start? Was it photography, art? How did you, how did you start?
I think I'm biased because I started so young, so maybe my folks could answer that a little bit better than me.
Okay.
But I'm gonna say that I started as a singer, actually.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I used to love singing Patti LaBelle songs growing up, and my grandparents always played like a bunch of old soul music, so I used to sing a lot. And then I got into playing instruments a little bit. My mom played the piano, and so she started teaching me some songs on the piano, and then I transitioned into visual art. So I was always scribbling on stuff and painting everything, and eventually I started painting on paper instead of the walls. So
Yeah. But I wonder if it's like I remember seeing it was it was a dad, and his child was always painting on the walls and stuff, and so he went ahead and just started framing them because it's art.
yeah.
But yeah, that's really cool. I like knowing that you were able to really tune into that artistic side of yourself. So one other thing I know I found out about you was that you are a veteran. So of course, thank you very much for your service.
Cool.
Um, what part of the armed services were you in?
So I was an officer candidate in the Marine Corps, and then I also served enlisted in the Army. So I'm also a military brat, and my dad served in the Army. My mom was the daughter of someone who served in the Navy. So it was just military family through and through.
Yeah, that those waters run deep then.
Yes, ma'am.
So how long were you in the service?
It was a total of like 2.5 years.
Okay, okay,
Hmm.
yeah. Were you able to during that time frame? Were you able to express your artistic um, notions, or was just like just kind of head in the ground, having to be part of the Marine Corps, and like you had to get that stuff together? Did you have any time?
Surprisingly, yeah, I did. I actually was a JROTC student too. So like in high school, I did a plethora of things, but I was one of the first kids in my high school to do ROTC and band at the same time. And
Mm,
one of the things I did in between that was I painted murals in the school, but I didn't have no room for like an art elective. So the art teachers always just had me doing artistic things in between classes, and I
okay.
kind of carried that into college. So even though I was in the ROTC program, I had like 3 days out the week I had the PT. I was a student in the College of Architecture, so I was always in the studio doing artistic stuff, and I carried that as I became an entrepreneur into my adulthood.
Do you feel like, as far as like, I know that you're a singer, um, artist, photographer, model, is there one that speaks to you more? Like, do you find that one is a little bit more easier to like hone in to that part of you?
That's a great question. I don't consider myself a singer, even though you took me back when I had to think about where did it start. I would say visual arts is probably my thing that when I can't find a way to express myself and I can't find words to write a poem or anything, I can paint something for sure. So
Hmm.
yeah, visual arts.
Is it and see, I'm gonna my art 101 is lacking for so many years. So is it
All
mixed
right.
media? What is it, just portraits? Is it still life? What do you find that you enjoy doing?
I think it comes and goes in waves as an artist. I don't like to like box myself in. So right now, I like to say what I'm focused on right now. And
Mhm.
over the last year, I've really been focusing on visual art, which consists of mainly doing paintings with acrylic and oil. I've been kind of exploring more like my background in construction and incorporating different textures and materials with my paintings, which has been really beautiful to watch unfold because I've never done that before. So to see it come together, I'm experiencing my art in a way that people that are purchasing it are. It's like for the first time. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. More mixed media stuff. It's based in acrylic and oil paintings, but I'm playing around, like I said, with building textures. So like wood, fabric,
Okay.
um, molding, plaster, and things like that.
So when you are in your creative mood, and I know now you said you weren't a singer, but you are a musician, or at
I
least
am.
some. Okay. So what when you're creating, what music is in your head? What are you playing as you're creating? Or are you playing any music at all?
Yeah, another good question. I think that so for me, like I consider myself like a little human jukebox. Like I said, it definitely started with music. So I'm the person that when they come into the office, everyone knows I'm there because I'm humming.
Mm,
So when I'm painting or doing anything creative, there's always music playing. Like
okay.
I play music nonstop. Like if I could play music and people could still hear me talk right now, I'd have music going in the background. So what I'm listening to, I'm a really big R&B head. I love 90s R&B. As a 90s baby, that's my thing. But I do listen to a lot of oldies. So I have like a bunch of playlists. I have one called Grandma's Hands, and it's like all the music that my grandmother used to play when I was growing up. So
Nice.
got some Maze, that kind of like just all the bands that really harmonize and everything, and stuff that's being remixed now in present day. So
Mhm. Is there any song, as far as like, how do I want to put it? Is there any song or any type of music that evokes like a thought, like you have a piece that's very thought provoking? Is there something, a song that may come into your mindset, or what do you think that song would be? I'll put it that way. If it's you have a thought provoking piece, what song would come to mind for you as you've had created it?
mm. So there was this one painting that I painted last year. I had a challenge for myself to paint paintings, one painting per month, which is
Mm,
ambitious for all my visual artists. Know they know that that is really, really aggressive. And I wanted to paint paintings for myself because I do a lot of commissioned work. So I didn't take any commissions. I just did paintings that I wanted to paint. And in around the June time frame, so about the sixth or seventh one that I'd done for myself, uh, I was experiencing a heartbreak and I was playing like the Mary J. Blige album on repeat, the My
mhm,
Life album, and there was a song called Mary's Joint that I just had in a loop, and I was playing it as I was painting this beautiful heartbreak painting, and it really just resonated with me so much, like the lyrics, the melodies in it. I almost was listening to it without even listening to the words, because as a musician, you can resonate with the progression of the song as well, and so I would say that that album or that song in general, it was like really, really life changing for me. Honestly, that painting, it took me to a place, and so now when I paint other paintings, I try to assign a song or a feeling to it so I can really hone in on it and accentuate it.
are you able to remove yourself from, because you said heartbreak. So are you able to remove yourself from the piece without remembering? Because I guess for me, I'm thinking sometimes, because there's songs that I think about as far as like a breakup, and it was like, oh, this is bad. But then it's like after like so many years, I'm able to listen to it and not be like, oh, that dude. Are
Yeah.
you able to separate? Are
Yeah.
you
No,
are
that's
you able
that's
to
a good
separate that?
question. That's a good question because sometimes when I explain that story to people, they're like, "Man, you were shut in for like 11 days straight painting and like crying over this pain." I'm like, "Yeah, sometimes the best work that we do it comes out of pain." But for me, I actually did that. Like my therapist had recommended that I do something creative to work through the emotions that I was having, and she was like, "What do you do that doesn't require much thought?" And I was like, well, I mean, painting, like, I do this commission work for people and I don't even have to think about it because I'm so good at it. And she's like, have you ever like painted anything for yourself? And I'm like, no. So she told me, to kind of
Mm,
channel the emotion to paint the painting. And so that was different. I had never done that before. So I didn't know what to expect would come with it.
yeah.
As I got into it, I thought to myself, uh-oh, I might end up being in that place where every time I look at the painting, I'm gonna feel that emotion. Surprisingly, I found when I finished it, like it was almost like I had gotten it all out. It was like
Mm,
I poured all the emotion into the painting, and when I varnished it, it was sealed. So
yeah.
I mean, at the very end when I was finished, I thought about setting it on fire because I was like, I'm done with it. But
Mm,
I decided to keep it because I was like, this is hands down my best work. And so I brought it
wow.
out, hung it up in a cigar lounge and was drinking some cocktails and stuff, celebrating my birthday. And the cigar lounge owner bought the painting for me, and come to find out he was a previous heart surgeon, and so the painting for him signified like stepping away from his career to become a full-time entrepreneur. And I was like, I'm glad it translated different for him because for me it was painted out of something completely different. So yeah, I separated myself in many ways from it. And it, I'm blessed, I guess, to say that I can do that because some of these emotions are really big emotions that I'm channeling into the paintings.
Oh, that's awesome. That's amazing. That's
Thank you.
amazing. So I'm glad that you did a segue for me. So we are going to have a conversation about cigars. So because you said that you're a cigar smoker, as I am as well. So we are going to play a little game one that I'm going to talk about is the cigar shape. So the torpedo, Corona, or the Presidente. Kiss, marry, kill.
Hmm. Presidente, I might have to marry. The torpedo, I probably had to kiss that one. And then what was the third one?
Corona.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to kill that one.
Kill that one off.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to kill that one off.
So what about cigar length? The Toro, Lancero, or the Robusto?
Hmm. I'm gonna have to go with Toro Mary. The Robusto, I'm gonna have to kill that one off.
Oh, why? Why?
Being a buck 20, I'm like, I gotta cut it off at a certain point. Those are the kinds that I set aside for later, but they just don't quite taste the same when you relight them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and Lancero, uh, marry or kiss? Because that was the last one. Okay. So
I
that
think that's
makes
a kiss. Yeah.
yeah, that makes me think I was going to ask you about gauge. So since I think you've already answered my question, talking about gauges is, you know, some gauge too big is too big. Do you? Do you see, like, when you go into cigar lounges, that people are overcompensating by having this 40 gauge cigar that they can't handle, and they really can't even light it. They don't know what they're doing. And how are you perceived when you go into the cigar lounge? Are you well received as far as being a woman? Um, or is it still kind of like, oh, you know what you're doing? How do, how is it when you go? Probably not in the one that you're one that you go to all the time, but when you go to, like, maybe out of town and go to a cigar lounge, how is it for you?
Well, I think the experience doesn't really change very much, even if you frequent there often as a woman. Unless you're in a women-owned cigar lounge, you're always gonna get the
Mm,
looks. I think that it's really interesting to me. I like going to cigar lounges because I know that from the moment I walk into the door, all eyes are on me because they're like, "What is this young, this young small woman doing in here, getting a cigar?" And I've been smoking cigars for a while. I like to travel and
mm.
pick up cigars and coffee. That's like my big thing. So
Awesome.
I mean, I love finding out where to find the hand rolled cigars, and I know the differences between them all. And so when I go to cigar lounges, I think a lot of people are surprised by that. I do see a lot of folks in the cigar lounge that are men that don't know what they're doing. So that's the other funny part too, is like I can the way they're watching me, I can watch them. And then I have, a set of friends now at the local ones that I frequent, and even they still, they joke around all the time with me. They're like, "Oh, you want to try this new cigar? This one might be too big for you, or this one might be a little
Or
too
it's
strong."
flavored or something like that. But I think that they automatically think that women want something that's flavored.
Yeah, yeah. And I gotta admit, I'm kind of on the stereotype with that because I do like a good infused cigar.
Hmm.
So I like flavored cigars, but I think it's less about like, it being flavored and more about the flavor profile of what it's giving when you smoke it. So like
Yeah,
again, when you go to like DR or Cuba or somewhere and you're smoking a cigar, the flavor of the leaf really tastes different than what you're getting in the US. So
right.
that's really what I'm looking for when I'm smoking the cigar.
So what is your what would you think is your perfect pair? So what would be your perfect cigar in, I guess I would say, spirit pairing?
Mm. Yeah, so I'm a whiskey drinker. I really used to drink Uncle Nearest like the
Hmm.
Jack. I used to do Jack until Uncle Nearest came out, and then I like a robust whiskey to pull out the taste from like a really light cigar. So something like an acid cigar,
Okay.
known for like the different flavor profiles.
Hmm.
I like a lot of those infused, so they have like some vanilla infused cigars. It gives like an aftertaste if you're drinking and smoking at the same time. So I like to play around with the whole experience, not just the cigar. So obviously savoring the cigar, I think, is like something that's taken for granted. A lot of people think they gotta smoke the cigar within one sitting, but it's like if you're smoking it the right way, you pair it over conversation, pair it over a
Right.
drink, nice cocktail, and sometimes it could be a dessert involved with that as well, because the dessert will pair very well with it, or a coffee or
Hmm.
something like that. So yeah, I'm real into pairing it with the food and the experience as well.
Well, I was gonna ask, as far as, like, I asked for spirits, but I know that you also are a beer drinker. You drink beer, right?
I did.
You
So
did.
I
Uh-oh.
did, yeah. So I'm actually sober, so this is a good segue for that.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been sober for 5.5 years. But
Wow.
I'm yeah, but I am very versed in all the flavor profiles of all the different spirits that are in the market.
Mhm.
And I'm very versed in the non-alcoholic spirit companies as well. And
Okay.
so yeah.
Athletic is one of our big a big supporter for an organization that I belong to called Lifting Lucy.
Mhm.
So we did that at the beginning of January, there is a new brand called their new line called Trailblazers for athletic. If you're still into the beer, the complexity of the beer, I drink them regardless. It doesn't have to be dry January. I drink them all the time because I think they're actually very good.
They are. They are. So when I first got sober, the only thing that was non-alcoholic was Heineken, and I hated
Mm,
Heineken when I did drink. Like the flavor is so, I don't know. It's just very upfront, right? And it doesn't have much versatility as far as the flavor profile
mhm,
goes. So when they started coming out with these other brands, like similar to Athletic, which is in Connecticut where I live now, I mean, I love trying out the different IPAs and comparing them to each other. They have
mhm.
just the same amount of versatility as the alcoholic beverages now, and I love that.
Yeah, it's my side hustle. I'm a brand ambassador, and so usually, if I'm on a certain aisle, it has exploded with different spirits, gins, and whiskeys and stuff. And I was just like, I had no idea, but um, knowing that there is a an audience that wants it, because some people are like, why bother, but there's an audience that needs it and has a desire for it. So I think that they're going up leaps and bounds, and it's getting better and better. They're keep on changing. um Tell me, what five designers influenced you?
Designers of clothing.
Clothing, clothing
Mm.
designers.
Ooh, man. 5 clothing designers. I don't know if I could count, an online retailer, but I would say Boohoo, which
Uh-huh.
is, yeah, like a Fashion
Yeah,
Nova. Um,
yeah.
so Boohoo Man has like these suits that are imported from overseas,
Mhm.
and I love supporting them because all the suits that I order, they usually come from like a black country, and so it's almost like I'm going to Jamaica or going to wherever it is to get a suit, and they always come tailored to my body stature, which is hard in the U.S. because usually it's just like Zara or H&M, and then you got to take it to the tailor and get it tailored again. So um, there was also a nice suit company called Top Man when I was in the DMV area. They had like a top shop. It was like Top Man and Top Woman, and they had these really
Mhm.
nice tailored suits that I used to wear as well. They had an influence on how I dress, like as far as the suits were concerned. But I mean, I think like designers, you know, some of the name brand designers that we have in America, I can't say that they influenced me one way or another. It's more so the models or the
Okay.
actual designers making the clothes. So I love what Pharrell is doing with Louis Vuitton right now, like
Mhm.
bringing different elements into those designer brands. I think is real important. But yeah, my influencers are more like small small businesses.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
It was whatever, however you felt it would be. It didn't have to be Chanel or anybody like that. Whatever you thought, because I mean, when you said boho, I was like, oh yeah, I remember. And I always wanted to order from them, but I always forget, because the other thing is they are size inclusive too. And I think that's really cool and really important. But I did not know that they imported, where they got their clothing from. So that was something that I didn't know about. I appreciate you enlightening me on that. That makes me even more so wanting to um, go back and get some pieces from them.
Yeah, their stuff is really good quality. Like I said, I stand behind it. I've got some suits that are like, Rich Men Looks, which is another custom suit company based out in Atlanta. They make some really good stuff. Their suits are like $900 a suit. But I'll say, those Boohoo suits that can get, you can get a full suit for like less than 150 bucks. They kind of go hand in hand sometimes, like
Hmm.
neck in the quality because they're made overseas and they're, like I said, they're hand tailored. So those are really nice. Those designs really inspire me as an artist. I like to wear wearable art. So I
Hmm.
got some designers out here in Connecticut. There's one T Montgomery. He's doing like a lot of wearable art right now. He was a visual artist. He's also a music artist, but now he's into clothing and he is doing some really good work out here. He makes everything handmade and he prints like some of his art onto his threads. And then there was another designer that really inspired me in DC. Uh, Her brand was called Layo, and she did one of one customs, but her stuff was really inspired by different fabrics in the fashion industry. So like whatever the trend would be for the year, she would go to that place, get the fabric, bring it back to the DC area, and make something amazing out of it. So yeah,
That's pretty cool.
I thought
So,
so.
so do you still consider yourself, uh, as far as your look, at still androgynous with a little bit of femininity?
I do. These terms, honestly, they come about, and I kind of take them or not. I started adopting the name androgynous because I realized as I was doing it that that was the word for it, and I
Mm,
just had a couple of a couple entities online that were promoting my content. They would just give me the label, and I was like, oh, okay, that's what we're calling that. Cool,
yeah,
I mean, I think growing up in the 90s, like seeing people like Prince, and Janet Jackson wearing suits and stuff. So it's like, I never really thought about fashion as something that had to be put to a gender. So
right.
when I dress, I think, I just dress how I feel. And now, in today's age, they call that androgyny. So I'm like, yeah, I'm an androgynous fashion person because I'm not going to let someone tell me just because guys wear ties, I can't wear a tie. If it looks good, I'm gonna wear it. So
Yeah, and I will, I will date myself. Prince, of course, but I was thinking when I was reading that androgynous, automatically it made me think of Bowie,
mhm.
being androgynous. But I, it's so strange. I wore what I liked, and and I'm really gonna date myself. Back in the '80s, it used to be like Rick Springfield. He had the really thick tie, and it was made out of cloth. It wasn't like even a real tie. And I was like, I like that, and I wore it. So it's just like, yeah, it shouldn't have any gender. Clothes shouldn't have any gender. I like what I like. I was watching this one lady that was making, she was refurbishing ties and making it into it was a thick tie, and then she put like a necklace on it and making it a piece. It was just like, this is so cool. Now I don't DIY. I'm allergic. But
Well,
I'm gonna see if I can fix get one of those old school like old grandpa ties. It was so like it looked gaudy, but by the time that she put that little nice little pearls or like a little chain to it, made it seem really really cool. So in your artwork, is there something in it that no matter where you are, um, I would know V made that painting? Is there something in any of your pieces or all of your pieces? Is there something there that says, I know that stamp mark of V?
hmm. I love that you asked this question because prior to that year that I had, the answer would have been no, besides my signature. But throughout that year of really learning my style as an artist, I decided that my signature thing would be frames. So that painting that I was talking about, I painted a frame on the canvas, and I painted it with such detail that it looks like a real frame from a
Cool.
distance. And I've had people walk all the way up on it and not realize that it's a frame until they walk away and they see the side of it, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I thought that was a frame."
Ah,
So
cool.
when I saw that reaction, from some people, I decided that I would keep it going. And I started just making sure no matter what I do, I always have some form of a frame on it. So that's one thing that is going to be my signature.
So now I know that you're in Connecticut right now, but where did you grow up? I forgot
So
that.
I'm born and raised from Georgia. Yeah, I'm a Georgia
Okay.
peach through and through. And, I frequent home quite often. Uh, was up and down the East Coast for a while, and now right now I'm in Connecticut. Um, it treated me pretty well here, but definitely not my last stop. So we'll see where the Lord takes me moving forward.
Okay. So while you're in Connecticut, I know that you have been working with Yale. So can you tell me a little bit more about the work that you were doing with Yale and Women's History Month?
Sure, yeah. So at Yale, I'm a project manager in the construction engineering department. I run all the utilities projects where we're trying to reduce the carbon footprint of Yale here, which is pretty huge because they own about 90% of the real estate in New Haven. So once we complete this, this overhaul over the next 5 to 6 years, it'll greatly impact the environment and hopefully set a precedent for future universities to follow suit as well. But the activations that you're referring to, as a volunteer, I volunteer as the co-chair for the Social Justice Committee for the Asian Network at Yale because I'm Black and Filipino,
Okay.
and so the purpose of the Social Justice Committee is to amplify Black voices, and me being Black and Filipino, I aim to curate events that do that. So for Women's History Month, I partner with someone here. We have a co-working space. It's a tech campus called District. They have been trying to get someone to do an art exhibit there for the last 3 years, and nobody wanted to do it because they couldn't hang anything on the walls. And so I did the tour, and I was like, "We'll figure this out." And I basically had an idea to make it an immersive art experience. So we gathered 5 artists, 5 women of color who are artists, and used their art as a social justice tool to make their voice known. And we threw a 2-part series. The first part was on International Women's Day celebration on campus, which was the 6th of March. And then the second one was on March 13th to commemorate Breonna Taylor. So yeah, we had a lot of good voices, a lot of good dialogue happening. We had a lot of sponsors come out, and it was a beautiful event. We had about 100 folks come out, so I was really blessed to curate that.
That's awesome. So at um at the school, because I no, I've never been to Yale. So what is the makeup as far as like uh BIPOC or even BIWOG? What is the makeup there?
That's a good question. So I got into a dialogue about somebody probably last week about this actually, and they told me that there's only like 13% of people here in Connecticut are Black. And I just found that kind of funny because I'm like 12% must be at Yale. um, I'll say the makeup there, it is obviously skewed. It's predominantly white institute, but they're really dedicated to their diversity and inclusion. They
Good.
have amazing leadership here that look like me, and I mean we have 9 affinity groups. All of them are catered to different BIPOC entities. So we have Asian Network, we have African American Association, a Veterans Network. We have something for everybody, and
Good.
all of those organizations have multiple minorities involved.
Mhm.
And it's really the space for all of us to network with each other, and then pour back into the communities that are supported through those entities.
That's awesome. So is that also phenomenal woman one and two? Is that what? Okay, I wanted to be sure that that
Yeah,
was
yeah.
the
So
arching
you
part of
you
it.
know me,
Yeah,
like you said, being a businesswoman, it's like you got to brand everything, right?
yeah.
So I threw these events, and I was like, it'd be a shame for me not to really throw them as what they are, which is art exhibitions. I didn't want to just throw traditional programming for Yale. I wanted it to be open to the public. I wanted to make sure all of the vendors were people of color. I wanted to make sure
Mhm.
all of them were women. And then I was very selective with the artists as well. So yeah, everything that I poured into this event for the Social Justice Committee was very, very intentional. And so, um, yeah, that's what we did for this event. And we're going to keep doing that for the next year that I got the co chair title. So,
Awesome. Well, my last question, because I was very interested, you have something coming up in May. Is the first woman's flash mob, and you're collaborating with someone. Tell me more about that.
yeah, thank you for bringing that up. By way of association, there's a wonderful organization here called Brown and Noir. It's a colleague of mine, Denver Lawrence. He started the Connecticut Men of Color Flash Mob 2 years ago here in Connecticut, and he basically, through a nice flash mob. We had a lot of men come out, a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, that kind of thing, and we just flood the streets basically of New Haven. We had a lot of representation present between the city and the school. So after the second year, which was when I was involved, I told Denver, I was like, we need to do this for women, and I guess enough women told him that he should do it, and so this year we're throwing the first one, and it's going to be on May 4th. So anybody that is in the area, or anybody that's willing to travel, come out, connect with me. I can get you out there, and it's going to be a good time. We're going to have the flash mob. Obviously, is for us having that representation present. So we're going to be broadcasting that locally on our news channels. We're going to give the women headshots when they come, get some good content so you can post and show yourself, network with the other business owners here. And
Mhm.
then we're going to have an after party at the Beinecke Library. So it's going to be a pretty nice event. And I'm excited to be a part of the planning committee.
Yeah, that's awesome. It sounds so cool because I was just like, man, I haven't heard of flash mob, and I was like, all women. I was like, I would love to see how that's going to happen. But then you're adding those other layers to it, that you're networking and connecting, so that makes it even more rich.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely. It's a lot deeper than just, showing up and walking down the streets. I think it's very to me it's a kind of a disservice that a lot of people don't know that there's this many people of color in Connecticut. When
Mhm.
I got the opportunity to work here at Yale, I googled them to make sure that Connecticut was a state where black business owners could thrive, and you know to my surprise, it was in the top 10 cities in the U.S. to move to.
Wow.
So I would have never known that, being from Atlanta, living in D.C. I never considered Connecticut to be a place where there was a lot of black and brown business owners, but there are. I mean, the culture is so rich here. The diversity is amazing, and like I said, I feel blessed to be in a position where I can help amplify that voice for them, and also be a part of a new movement. So, yeah, like I said, May 4th, it's up on Eventbrite now. It's a free event, so sign up if you're close in the area. Definitely come out, and like I said, if you want to come out, I'll be more than happy to give you a tour of the campus and get you connected with some folks out here. My mentor, Alyssa Bowens, the owner of Rhythm Brewing, which is
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. She's probably going to be there. She's mentoring me with my company, Southern Spirits. So she always pops up at everything that I do. So yeah, she'll
Okay.
she'll be there.
Wait. I said I had a last question. Did I miss that you had Southern Spirits? No, no. What is that? Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait. I got all these notes. Wait. What?
Oh man. Yeah, Southern Spirits. Southern Spirits is my non-alcoholic spirit company. Um,
Yeah.
I'm I'm in the startup phase right now, and I got gently pushed into the direction of it by Alyssa. I was pestering her to make some non-alcoholic beer because I don't drink anymore, and she finally listened to me. I don't know if I can speak too much about what she's doing, who she's collaborating with, but she is coming out with a non-alcoholic beer soon, and I'm really happy to be an ambassador for her. But I wanted her to make whiskey next, and she was like, you know what? This is really your story. I just want to mentor you to build it for yourself because it's really important what you're doing, and I want to help you do it. So she's been an angel throughout this process, and I'm currently working on, like I said, my brand. We're going to be curating four flagship flavors. The first one's going to be a peach whiskey. So I'm excited because, to my knowledge, I'm the first black and Asian owned non-alcoholic spirit company. So I'm really excited for what we have coming up.
That sounds amazing. I know you weren't going to leave me without telling me this. I needed to know this. And we
Hey,
definitely want to continue to keep, I'm gonna keep my radar on that, especially with knowing Alyssa Lady Lager. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure I'll probably see her next month at CBC, so I'll make sure I'll say, I talk to beings, so we can have a chat about that.
Yeah, please do.
Um,
Please do.
so tell us before we go. Tell us any of your socials, how we can connect to you. Anything that you want to share before I let you go.
Sure, yeah. If you guys are on Instagram, you can follow me on at Where is V. That's my last name, Ware is VI. I have my Southern Spirits Distillery Instagram. It's literally Southern Spirits Distillery. You can follow me on that as well to watch the journey as we build the brand. And then my website is www.bewaredesigns.com for all of my art endeavors, where you can purchase, paintings, jewelry, clothing. I do marketing for logos, brand building as well. So if you are a new business owner and you're looking for a logo but you don't know where to start, reach out to me, shoot me an email. I'm always here as a resource to help other Black and Brown business owners build their business.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, V. I really appreciate you joining us and all this amazing knowledge and new experiences that are going to come up. And I'm really excited. I'm really excited for you. I can't wait to see everything how it turns out. Especially, we needed more things. Alyssa probably said, "You know what? I need somebody to come to shoulder the wheel for me in Connecticut." So I'm glad that she got you to get that other side for the spirit side, the non-alcoholic spirit side. So,
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for bringing me on, and like I said, it's just the beginning. So we're gonna keep moving forward and doing the good work that needs to be done out here.
all right. Well, thank you again, y'all. And I'm going to go ahead and sign off. But we have lots of things coming up. Ooh, June. Y'all do not miss June. Do not miss June. It's going to be a crazy, 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 crazy ride.